Hey everybody, welcome back. I know my last video was on Gearbox and their history, but the recent events surrounding the Colonial Marines release really made me want to go back and look deeper into how Gearbox develops their games. So if you've been hiding under a rock or haven't been paying attention to what's been going on since the 12th of February, here's a recap. Gearbox released Colonial Marines in a very bad, bare-bones shape. There are tons of glitches and visuals that come off as flat, boring, and they generally look like a PS3 launch title. Gamers everywhere are looking at Gearbox and they're crying foul. Many people online are calling it a bait and switch, and it seems like everyone in the business is shocked at the product that has come out. And I can see where this outcry is coming from, but honestly, I kinda saw this coming. I know in my earlier video I praised Gearbox for being a unique developer that had interesting titles like Brothers in Arms and Borderlands, but if I honestly look back at how each of these games were presented pre-release and then compare it to the end product, a lot of questions come up. So first off, let's look at what I consider one of Gearbox's weakest releases, which is Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway. I'm going to show some comparisons of what was shown at a press conference in 2007 and an even earlier one in 2006, and then compare it to the end game.
Look at what it gets blurry and red. That's risk, that's danger. This is clear, this is safe. I dig in, and I'm safe again. Motion, show you that horror of war up close. Look at this, these guys would be sandbags. Bullets can't penetrate sandbags. I gotta get cover here.
The first comparison looks at Gearbox's danger or cover system. This system essentially tells you that you need to seek cover or else your face will get shot off. In the preview version of the game, the closest cover stays its normal color in order to tell you that it's a safe place, yet in the full version, even cover turns red.
Grenade! Corian! Put the fire on him! Du bist in Ordnung! Bleib ruhig! Wir haben keine Deckung! Wir brauchen Deckung!
Quiet, and I want to make sure that any enemy around won't discover me. Look at these guys. They think they're pretty smart, but they're hiding behind a wooden fence. This is really awesome. We spent a lot of time on this. Wherever my bullet goes, that's where I'm shredding this stuff. It's really cool. I've never seen this in a game before. I'm really excited to do it.
Next up, you see how bullets can degrade cover over time. This really isn't a case of bait and switch as much as it is about Randy Pitchford being unclear about the scope of the game's destruction. He made me believe that anything could deteriorate over time, but really you can only destroy very thin wood cover, so things like tables and fence posts. But soft cover like beds and sofas cannot be penetrated at all.
Let's get some super fire on that thing.
I would also like to take a look at this watchtower scene. First off, look at how vibrant and colorful the demo looks. Even though it looks like it was filmed on a terrible mid-2000s cell phone camera, the game looks much more vibrant than the end product.
Go, go, go! Jazz!
And also, why is there no sliding Nazi body? Now let's look at an even older and, in my opinion, even more promising version shown to the public in 2006. In this version, we see a very Band of Brothers-like conversation that feels very organic and gives the character some depth. This version really feels like you're watching an episode of Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan.
We found it in the grass this morning. So what do you want to do about
Even die without my stuff.
Corian, don't fall for it. Holy shit, Baker!
We gotta get that out, Baker!
We got no time. Let's move, guys.
The first part was something that got me very excited for this entry in the series. It was this idea of being a first-person actor. You see the rifle sway when looking left and right, and you can also see your feet when vaulting over cover.
Is doing that because it's not just a picture of a weapon that's bolted to a disembodied camera like all the first-person shooters of the last generation. My rifle is in my hands, and I'm a real character in the world. I have hands and feet and a body, and I'm moving a character around when I move the joystick. If you see me climb this wall here, you can see my hand on the wall, my feet go over. We call that first-person actor, and it's a next-generation gameplay innovation.
But in the final version, the gun only sways when sprinting or when aiming down sights, but vaulting over cover still seems like it was in the demo.
I don't have a shot!
Gary is really pissing me off today.
You said it, man!
Dorian! Everyone! Here! Now!
Now look at that 88 crew. Those soldiers are totally focused on servicing that weapon. Their job is to knock down the enemy aircraft. And as members of that gun crew, they're totally absorbed in what they're doing. So you have an opportunity here, if you act quickly, to trap and surprise them.
Okay, I'm gonna have to...
Next, I want to compare a specific part in the trailer to its equivalent in the campaign. Here you see an anti-air cannon that you're instructed to take out, and then while you're looking at that, you see another squad controlled by the AI running around doing their own thing. I want to make it clear, this does not happen in the final version of the game. I'm glad they kept the Nazis completely frickin' oblivious in the final version, though. Watch how my guys just john up to them and get into cover. It's really hard to screw this up.
Take him out! I can't toss it! Suppress those crowds!
The slow-mo camera effect is still pretty cool, yeah, but what about that guy that just appeared out of nowhere? The upcoming set pieces in the demo really got me excited for the game.
I guess that makes good cover, right?
That'll work.
Let's look at what it looks like in the final version.
Heavier than an M1.
I've got a...
Get over here! Form up!
It's so small that you can't even take cover behind it. Now look at this scripted sequence.
Assault team, bazooka can kill hard targets.
This doesn't happen at all in the game. At least not in mine, because my bazooka crew keeps hitting telephone poles and fences.
Well, there you have it.
Now, let's look at one of Gearbox's more contemporary games, Borderlands 2. Now this is one of my favorites, but believe it or not, this demo actually got leaked the same year the Aliens demo came out, so we're looking at roughly the same amount of development time. First, let's look at the Bad Moth fight. This got me really pumped up when I saw it for the first time. The game's signature humor is all there, and the boss is actually kind of interactive.
Actually, Adam can shoot the chains off of the shield and free the midgets. He's out. Now he's mad though. He's gonna turn on his captor. Oh, he just got punched. But because the torturer is busy, we can flank him and get him without the shield there. Oh, that was...
Also note the TDR assault rifle being featured, but in the final game, TDR doesn't even make assault or sniper rifles.
Got to stun him, and we kill him, and we leveled up. Good job, Adam.
Now the final game. Here we get not one, but 3 midgets, which is even better, right? But notice how Badmod doesn't crush the midgets with his shield like he did in the demo. And just look at how weak the midgets are. They only die in one hit.
Yes. Almost got it. Almost got it. Almost got it. Midgets are free.
Next up, we see this cool little set piece that really got me excited.
So she is one of the new characters. We'll see her. There's Maya just joined us. She'll be at the top of the dam for us. And we're going to go on our mission to rescue our friend. He's been captured by the Bloodshot Bandits, and we want to liberate him. There's Maya. There's 4 new characters in the game, and some other surprises. Oh, look at the vista. That's all playable space.
Now, I'm just gonna stop it right here. Randy, you can't say things like this. Sure, many of these parts are playable, but they're interconnected levels like in the first game. You almost make it sound like this is one giant open world like Skyrim or Far Cry. But it isn't. Okay, moving on. We see Roland being imprisoned by Hyperion, with Randy talking about large dynamic battles with multiple factions.
That's Roland. He was one of the heroes from the first game. He's our friend that we're trying to rescue. Because we wanted to create all new characters, we still love the old ones, so we brought them back as NPCs. And it looks like the Hyperion Corporation also wants Roland. So we have a 3-way battle on the gun top. The Hyperion forces with their combat engineers and their robots. They've got Roland in their war den. And we also have the bandits. So there's a 3-way battle.
So now let's see what it translates to in the endgame.
I know. Stupid.
Pre-scripted bullshit that I have no control over. This entire section is just like Hyperion robots killing bandits with canned animations and then targeting the player. And just look at how glitched out this guy is.
Oh.
Next, I want you to look at the gore in the demo and compare it to what's in the game. See how that body exploded and left a trail of blood and goo everywhere after bouncing around for a bit? The gore is way toned down in the final version of the game. Why is that?
That objective's moving, right? This is a mission that's different than
Now Randy is talking about how objectives and quests will be dynamic in the full version of the game, and gives this really cool moving boss fight as an example. Let's see how this epic clash translates to the finished product.
Where are you, soldier?
Really? It's a fucking cutscene. How much did they have to compromise for the final release of this game?
Stop this damn thing!
That boss taking...
Now I know this video was long enough already, but when I went through all these demos, I found a disturbing trend regarding AI and what Gearbox promises to do with it.
Okay, move fast though.
The AI in Hell's Highway is normal to mediocre at its best and just flat out
Randy was
dumb
saying,
at its
these
worst.
soldiers act like real soldiers. You notice that one soldier just fell as he came off the that wall. Those things really happen in real life. You're carrying real ammo. You're wet, cold, hungry, and tired. You're scared. You make mistakes.
Colonel Antal, when he watches us play the game, he'll help us identify things that are different in real life than in our simulated world, and he helps us try to make real people.
They're pretty smart though. They can get pretty much. That guy just climbed up the wall. Anywhere you're at, it doesn't matter if you go high ground or hide around corners. We've done a lot for navigation and AI. These guys have a lot of different ways to reach you.
And look at this dynamic path fighting that this bandit does.
Why don't you come here?
I can literally run circles around him all day. All he does is chase me and jump down from ledges. He doesn't climb. He doesn't try to outsmart me at all.
Here you go, big boy!
Aliens can climb on the ceilings, on the walls. It's all driven by sophisticated artificial intelligence.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire.
So now that we've looked at all this, is it really fair to say that what Gearbox did was a bait and switch? You know what? To me it isn't. Cutting down your game to make a release is just something that the industry does in order to survive. I dare you to find a game that hasn't changed at all during development. Just look at the original design documents for Super Mario Bros. On the NES. Miyamoto originally had players jumping by pressing up on the D-pad and had Mario shooting enemies with a gun. Hell, even Portal 2 had a level shown at E3 that didn't make it into the game at all. Does that make Portal 2 a bait and switch? Recently, an anonymous Gearbox or ex-Gearbox employee, we don't really know, came forth on the Alien subreddit LV426, and what he stated wasn't really that big of a shock to me. Essentially, this employee told us that the game was handed off to multiple developers under Gearbox because Gearbox was working full-time on Duke Nukem Forever and Borderlands 2. The game had been in development hell for years, and many people, myself included, were wondering if and when it was actually going to come out. It's likely that what we saw in the E3 2011 demo was actually what the game looked like, but the overall quality of the game had to be downgraded in order for it to run efficiently. Things like dynamic lighting and high-res textures had to be cut for the sake of performance. I would like to reiterate that this is not a bait and switch or false advertising. Everything you see on the game's Steam store page, or on the back of the retail copy, is in the game. Now compare this to the recent War Z scandal, where the game was essentially released in an alpha state, and half of the features listed on the page weren't even implemented yet. This is, without a doubt, the worst thing Gearbox has done. They got bogged down with too many products at once and utterly screwed the pooch this time. This is not a bait and switch, but it's completely inexcusable, and I'm severely disappointed in the end product as well as the company in general. Gearbox deserves everything bad thrown at them because of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lawsuit happens between them and Sega for severely mismanaging the production of the game, as well as the damage to the Aliens brand. I know this video was a bit longer than my last, but I had tons of points that I wanted to get across this time around. Thank you for sticking around to hear it. This has been Viktar the Barbarian, and I'll see you guys in the next video.